F2 Championship. The race today is sponsored by Sim Racer Coin, cryptocurrency designed to reward esport winners with credits to buy some state-of-the-art sim racing equipment. Have a look at their websites if you need any more information. So today we are at Belgium. As you know, Belgium is one of the F1's formidable courses. Everybody loves it and hates it at the same time. So it will be fantastic to see how the drivers do today. As we're looking down the pit straight, we can see that qualifying is starting a little bit slow. No one out just yet, but it's 30 minutes, so they are timing this right, picking the right tyres that they want to start the race on. So you can see one driver ready to leave. We'll see if we can jump on board with them. Oh, it's Carter. Carter's going to be our first driver out. Let's bring up the map so you can see the full map. I'll go through the whole map here, the full layout of the course in a moment. But we're just going to see how the warm-up lap does with F2. Because they're not using tyre blankets, it is up to the drivers to use all their skill to warm up those tyres to get the best possible heat out of them. And as you can see, that Carter's not wasting any time and getting around this course to warm up those tyres into little straights. A little wiggle every now and then just to get some heat in there. Probably using the Belguim phase to really get the heat in. That would be section 3 for our non-knowledgeable viewers. So if you've got any comments on anything like that, or would like to have a shout out, just drop a message in the comments as we're speaking and I'll give you a shout out. Throw your comments to think who you think is going to win the race, who's going to be pole, who's going to get podium, and I'll go through the standings in between qualifying and the race. So we are seeing our drivers coming up through Belguim. So that's coming up to turns 18 now, into the chicane, which still gets called the bus stop chicane, but it is no longer a bus stop chicane. So we do have a few viewers of us today, so if you can hear me, just give us a shout out, let us know what you're thinking. And we see that Carter is doing a final lap at the moment. Quadriti, good evening, my friend. And Kevin Jacobs, sucks to have to work and miss the race. Yeah, it does suck to not have you in the race, because you are a fantastic driver and we do love to watch you. So as you can see, that Carter is making a flying lap out, but he is followed closely behind. Can we see who's right behind him? I think that might actually... Oh, Kojiti has invalidated that lap. Shell going for Go Apex. He is a front runner, and Jacob's put his money on Rayners. So Rayners, you've got someone here who's actually betting on you, so I can't disagree with Jacob at the moment. Rayners had a good run of form lately. He has been winning a few races. Pretty much every circuit we go to, he either wins the feature race or the sprint race. So let's jump back onto Carter to see if he's He is coming up to turn 18 now. 1920 of the chicane. With a time of 1:59.4 and correct Savant straight behind him with a 1:58.3. So reasonable times. I'm sure these are going to get quicker and quicker as time goes on. We've still got some of our front runners such as LH44, Rayner, Apex, Kojiti and Reagan, who is a quick racer. He hasn't been with us in the F2, but I've seen him race in other leagues or the other for types of races, and he has been doing fantastic. So we'll find a driver that we've got a driver who is coming into right. What we're going to do because we do have somebody who is supporting Apex, we're going to ride on board with Apex for a moment. We get to a 1:58.1 and Rayner with a 1:57.6. Fantastic laps. And this will be it looks like this will be a slow lap for Apex to go back into the pits. Some more fuel and get back out there. Let's see if we've got anybody who is sector for LH44. LH44 did have a few issues through the season, dropped down, missing out on wins since Baku. So we are expecting got high hopes for a good performance today, maybe a win. Cairo, whose last outing was a win, which was a fantastic performance from Magnus. He's currently sitting 4th in the championship. Battling it out with co-driver Kojiti. And Kojiti just about to go over the line. Plus a 1:57.0. LH44 1:56.3. Fantastic lap by those two drivers. So we've got Dragon on Speeds on an out lap at the moment. We've got Drew, who is on an out lap. So he's going through turn 1 now. This is La Source. So we'll just go up on board and go through the lap so you can understand what the layout of the track is. Come through turn 2, which is Slight King to the right, into a Rouge, which is just this bar here, and then Radillion, which is basically a sweeping chicane. Onto the Camel Straight with a kink. With this, you want to be hugging this white line all the way to the end if you can. Defensively, you want to be sitting near the middle. Sweeps into Lacooms, which is a free corner chicane. All the way down into Bruxelles. May have pronounced that wrong, but if Kojiti is listening, he could tell me how it actually is pronounced. So through turn 11, onto turn 12, which is double Apex pull-on. Fantastically taken there by Drew. We've got Reagan's done a time of 1:56.5, and there's a right-hander here of turn 13, turn 14, which is Campus, into Stavlo of turn 15, turn 16 of Curve Paul Frere, Bargemore, no, onto turn 18, and this is the approach to the chicane. Like I said before, it does get called the bus stop chicane, but it is not a chicane. It's not a bus stop chicane because it's not double chicaned. We got Jamie dropped a message saying I like it. Thank you very much. Andrew saying good evening. Good evening, Andrew. Welcome to the stream. Just give us your thoughts, how you're feeling about the race. If you've got any comments or anybody you are supporting today, give us a shout out for them. We'll pass it on to them. So Drew with a time of 1:59.6. corrects herself out with a 158.3. So we've got Rayner on an out lap, seeing if he can improve that time and probably take some of that those top spots. And we've just seen Drew just pulling off the side and allowing Kyrie to get past. So you go Magnus, who's invalidated his lap, he's going straight into the pits. Brushes that into the wall of the pits, which you do have to be careful with the pit entry because the pit entry is very tight. So you have to take that a lot slower than what you really think. Have we got anybody out who's still out to make any times? We've got Dragon on speed. As you can see, there is a bit of rain going. Ah, Andrew is Apex. So, good to see you, Apex, on the feed. Just let us know how you're feeling about the race and what your expectations are for it. We've got the rain, which Duty has been praying for, so let's see if this carries over to the race. We've got Shell, who's supporting Apex, so that'll be good. And a big shout out for myself from Hampton's Racing League, which will be Magnus. A little bit of a wiggle there by Dragon on speed, but he did get a time of 159.1. So top to bottom, as the times are standing, there is only 9 times there so far. We have LH44 with 156.3, Reagan with a 156.5, Duty with a 157 dead, Rayner with 157.6, who's now on another fast lap, Apex on 158.1. Correct Savant with 158.3, Dragon on speed 159.1, Carter with 159.4, and Drew with a 159.6. So we are already seeing little bunches between the front runners, mid-pack racers, and the lower drivers at the moment, but that can change. I don't think there's much difference between a fast driver and a low pack, the later drivers, lower pack ones, because they are still getting quite close times. So let's see if we could jump on board with Rayner, who is on a final lap at the moment, as he is in sector 2. Coming around turn 10. Turn 10 is one of those corners, if you get it wrong you are ruined for turn 11 as well, so you kind of compensate from one to the other. And in the rain it's not that easy as well. So into Poulon of turn 12. On turn 13, nice and tight, into campus of turn 14, touching the curb. Great line by Rayner for this. Turn 15. On to turn 16. See, turn 16 you have to you've got to get a perfect exit on that to make any strides up the latter part of the circuit, sector 3. I do believe that sector 3 would tend to be your faster sector if it wasn't for the chicane at the end. And Rayner has aborted that lap and has jumped into the pits. Maybe it's got a bit too wet out there for our drivers to be putting in competitive times with the slick tyres. Maverick with a 2-minute one maybe came out a little bit later than what he needed to be. With the rain you do need to brake a little bit earlier. Your turning has to be a lot smoother, and you've got to like gently put on the throttle. If you put the throttle on too much on the exit, you could just slip the car out. So Carter is retired from the session by the looks of it. So a little bit of knowledge on the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, which is based in Stavelot of Belgium. It is Quad GT's home race. The Quad GT is looking to please the fans out there. So it is just over 7 kilometers long, which is 4.35 miles. It has a total of 20 turns, which breaks down to 11 to the right and 9 to the left. Previously, it has had at least 7 variations, and like when you say variations, it's not like Paul Ricard where they just add the chicane on or not. These are big changes. Back at pre-modern era racing, where you're looking at drivers such as Jim Clark and Jackie Stewart did campaign hard to have this course looked at for its safety. It used to be one of the fastest circuits on the F1 calendar when it was the full length of roughly about 7 miles. I will get the sorry, it was pre-war, it was 9.31 miles. It had 25 turns, and the area itself with the forest is classed as a weather trap, so you could have sections of the race which is pouring down rain and other parts which would be bone dry, so it was difficult for a lot of drivers to balance that. We got times from Benjamin Cardiff of 2 minutes 2 and Magnus of 2 minutes 5. Obviously, with this being in the wet, it is not looking like that they're going to be competing with the faster times. James Stroud, Cairo, Sizen and Liam all yet to put in a time. So with the previous setups with the safety before coming into what we know as the Spa circuit we have today, it was mainly down to the adverse conditions. You're racing on streets with houses, lampposts, trees, and the only protection you would have would be bales of hay. So it was difficult for drivers to navigate. So we are looking at now with the result of that safety campaign, which is fantastic. So I've just had a little comment from our race owner. Who's basically just saying it's loads of times out there for him. He made an error. And he's asking people to retire from the because the times cannot be made. Really, there is no real time out there for people to find in the wet, and we can get the race underway a little bit quicker. So Reagan also saying he could find a bit more time out there. So these are the two of the high flying drivers. These drivers are in the top 4, and they are saying that they can find a lot more time out there. I am not I will not say that they can't, because really I'm sure they could. Little errors here, there and everywhere could all be tightened up and sorted. So as you can see at the moment, you see size in here. You just took everything away so you can see the track clearly. See how he's moving right over, but he's not cutting this corner nice enough. He's gone too far wide. He's compensating for the rain. Reagan not happy with it being raining. I don't blame you. It is a tough circuit to race in the rain. It's a tough circuit to race in the dry. And an error from capsizing. Not sure whether that was lost traction or his steering just kinked. But he's invalidated that lap. So we have Dragon on Speed, who's currently on an outlap. He is our only driver on the circuit at this very moment. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. We do have Cairo, who is pushing out for a faster lap than what his competitors will be able to put. Difficult in these conditions. Goes wide there at turn 13, which kind of hampers turn 14. Compensates for that to give him better exit entry to turn 15, which he does again. Go a little bit wide, not even clip at any apex, but does well with turn 16 with it being a bit slower. Push him round up to turn 17 here. Doesn't use all the track that he should be using. Should be twisting and winding around turn 18. Comes up to 19 and 20. Very tight in. For a 209, it's 209 in the wet. There isn't a lot of time out there for our drivers to make up to compete with the front runners. We do have a lot of drivers who are stepping out of the vehicles at the moment because they know they cannot make any more time from this. I do love the look of Eau Rouge. Eau Rouge is one of the most amazing corners on the F1 calendar, especially when the drivers put the foot down and make it stick like glue. It's absolutely fantastic to see. Now, as we can see currently at the moment, LH44 is sitting in pole. With the current weather as it is now, I do not believe that it will be. Right. Okay, bear with me one moment. I am just going to see if I can get our friend back on. So Apex has dropped out. I'm just seeing if we can get him back into the race. I do apologise for that, but yeah, we do have majority of our drivers stepped out of the vehicles. If the next 4 drivers, James Shaft, Apex, Correct Savant and Dragon on Speed, does decide to step out of the vehicles, we could have our race starting a little bit earlier than planned. Magnus saying he invalidated a 157 first lap. Yeah, that would have put you right up there in the mix of the top 4. And unfortunate. He is a fast racer, Magnus, when it comes to the F2 vehicles. He is a great rear winger for Kajuti's top 3 assaults. So it will be interesting to see how this race will pan out with no more drivers on the circuit. We'll turn our attentions to see what tyres people were on. So as you can see, everybody's gone on the soft tyres for those times. And we are just waiting out now to see what the remaining two drivers, Apex and Correct Savant, decide to do. Whether they stick it out and go for another lap, or whether they decide to step out the vehicle. And it looks like they've decided to step out the vehicle. So it looks like we've got LH44 on pole, Reagan in second, Quadruti in third, Raynor in fourth. Fantastic top four to be battling. Apex in fifth, another fast driver. Correct Savant in 6th, 7th for Dragon on Speed, 8th Carter, 9th Drew, Maverick in 10th, Benjamin in 11th, Magnus in 12th, Kyra in 13th, Drewstuff in 14th, Size in 15th, and Liam in 16th. So Magnus, who is 4th in the championship, is sitting further down and out of the points currently. And what we're going to do is just go through the championship standings. So we've got LH44 in first at the moment, at the top of their leaderboard with 225 points, followed by Magnus with 188, followed by him by Quadruti with 156, and then Magnus chasing up behind with 107. So those top three doesn't look like they're going to be much change, but this is where the battles need to be getting in hard and quick. And we do have our race about to start, and it looks like it's raining. A few drivers that we're waiting for, but rain at Spa. You got Apex in 5th with 96 points. So if Apex gets a good good 2 races over Magnus, he could be looking at getting that 4th spot. Dragon on Speed, Campos Racing, another driver who's actually able to to take on those front runners with 84 points. Stead 6, who's not with us today, is on 65 points. Benjamin Cardiff in 8th, he's on 53 points. 2 good races from Ben could see him move up a spot, but he has to look closely behind her because Liam is only 5 points behind him on 58, with Cairo just 11 points further back on 37. And Cairo, if he carries on the form he had on the last race, will do fantastic. So here we are with the fire formation lap. Perfect opportunity for drivers to get the heat and tyres. They will need to work hard on these compound tyres to get that tyre temperature up. So as you can see, drivers taking different lines, looking to see where they can get that heat from. All drivers should be on the wet tyres. Yeah, every single driver on the wet tyres. Obviously with F2 you are limited to what tyres you can pick, so it's either wet, soft or medium. So the race on the feature race is in the wet. So tyre strategy does base on whether the track is going to dry up or whether it's going to get heavier, or maybe stay the same, because it could be. It looks like it is on the wetter side of a wet dry race. So I'm expecting a full wet race right now. As you can see, the drivers are spread from between turn 7 and turn 10 at the moment. Liam at the very back, working hard, getting those tyres up. And it looks like there was a bit of contact with the two rear drivers. But three drivers at the back have just had a little bit of minor contact, and they've been sent to the grid without opportunities to warm up their tyres any further. And as we see, we are approaching the halfway mark really of the circuit, really, with the technical parts. Once you get past turn 16, it is pretty much a fresh run to get all the heat you can into those vehicles, air tyres. What LH44 will want to be doing now is try and maintain that heat, but also bring the pack closer together. The downforce setup for this race, I personally always go for a bit of added downforce for this race, giving you a better exit to the corners. A lot of drivers tend to open up the downforce and allow a bit more speed, especially through the Kennel Straight and probably the back few corners of sector 3. But different drivers have different feelings regarding that. Spa itself is very much similar to the way Silverstone is. So whereas you can either benefit from the straight or you can benefit from the curves. Balanced set layouts don't tend to do well at Spa, so you kind of have to compensate one more than the other. So whether you want to focus on the speed and you think you can handle the corners quite well, and take off a bit of downforce, but if you're struggling in those corners but you're carrying good speed, then you want to add the extra downforce. Got Patrick saying good evening, Ferret. Good evening, Patrick, good to hear from you. Let us know who you think's going to win this race today. So off we go, guys. It's the start of the race. LH44 with a jump start, giving him a penalty, a drive-through penalty. So LH44 opened up the gap a bit. Whether he decides to pit straight away, which would be the option I'd probably go with, or whether he holds on to see what happens. And we got a little bit of off the track action with Apex and Jim Strav both. I don't know whether there was a bit of contact or there was spinning out, but it looks like that both drivers there have had a bit of a collision. And let's have a look, see if we can see from Jim Strav whether Apex has got any damage. And for some reason I'm having a... Okay, here we go. I think that's the issue sorted there, because let's choose a different driver to have our camera on. So we've got Jim Strav, let's see, and Apex is falling behind. Dragon of Speed struggling a little bit there. Do apologise for the quietness that just went through, because at the moment I do believe there's been a little bit of a problem with our software system currently. So at the moment we have LH44 still up front, and he doesn't go into the pit to serve his drive-through. Kojuti 2 seconds behind, and Rayner right behind Kojuti. Rayner hunting Kojuti down quite a lot there to try and make the best of this wet weather. And we have Reagan, who is a little bit further behind from Rayner at the moment. Kojuti's kind of like just slipping back. Oh no, he's not. He is actually up, further up, and I just don't know why the system is putting him down further behind than what he is. Kojuti is sitting in front of Rayner, who's saying Rayner's in 5th. Okay. Server issues, guys. I do apologise. This happens quite a bit. Kojuti at the moment, smooth driving in the wet in his home race. He's looking for good results in these races. Correct Savant up 2 places into 4th. Now Reagan's down 3. Now Reagan does not like the rain. Drew doing quite well in 6th. Drew had felt like he was struggling before the race in practice, which now means that maybe a bit more practice, a change of setup, and he seems to be doing well, going up 3 places into 6th. We've got Carter in 7th, a little bit of sideways, but he holds it well. Liam right behind Carter, up 8 places, and he's looking for that move on Carter. And Liam is an experienced driver. He did not manage to put in a time through qualifying, and makes the most of Carter's slip. Well done to Liam. He bided his time, he was patient, and he waited for the mistake, and he pounced on it. Absolutely fantastic driving by Liam. So we do have Cairo with good form recently, up 4 places, so he's doing really well, chasing down Carter. And Carter has gone wide. Not too sure what happened there with Carter, but and LH44 puts a new faster time of 2 minutes 14. Still a lot more time to be found as the tyres get warmed up a bit more, the track gets a little bit drier, the racing line becomes more visible. I'm sure the speed time will come down on those laps. Now Benjamin is in 10th at the moment, and he is handling that car quite well. He's up 1 place at the moment, probably due to the fact that Apex has had a little collision earlier, but he's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple ones, exploiting the track limits, and he's been caught out for it. But he makes a great move on Carter. Does he make a stick? No. Carter outbrakes him, but being on the inside line, you have to be very brave to brake late. A little bit of wiggle from both drivers, as you've seen, and it looks like with those little wiggles, and at the time between 9th and 8th is opening up quite a bit. Cairo hounding Liam by the looks of it. Reagan with a time penalty. Let's see if I can see what the penalty is. It's a 3-second penalty. That would be a multiple warnings, track limits. LH44 still handling quite well. He's got 3.5 seconds above Kojuti. Don't think that will be enough to hold first if he dives into the pit for service penalty now, but he has to do it within 3 laps, so I think he would have to do that now. Rayner holding that 0.6 second space between himself and Kojuti, probably waiting for a moment to pounce. Closes up quite nicely onto the chicane. LH44 into the pit to serve his drive-through penalty. Cairo with 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. So now we have Kojuti in first and Rayner in second. LH44 speeding in the pit lane. He serves his 5-second penalty, his drive-through penalty, and gets slapped with a 5-second penalty. Just seems to be not LH44's day at the moment, but maybe the sprint race could bring him back on track. Be quite interesting to see how he does here, sitting at 9th. He's got the line. Carter takes the defensive inside line. Who's going to outbreak who? And it seems that both were breaking about the same amount. Respect for each other, trying to give each other a bit of space. I think Carter runs a little bit wide there due to a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact with LH, but that is due to the conditions of the track rather than intentionally running them off the circuit. Carter now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So as we're jumping up the table to see, so LH44 has got 2.32 seconds to close down onto Liam, and it just seems to be coming off bit by bit. So it'll be quite interesting to see how this finishes off, because Drew goes a little bit wide there, opens the door for Liam, and now LH44 is on the back of Drew very quickly. He's within half a second of Drew, and that time is stagnant at the moment, but Drew with a few mistakes means that LH44 just has to be a bit patient to wait for the perfect time to make that move. Drew moves in a bit too much there for the chicane, not giving him the best angle possible, which means he's a little bit slower coming out. So LH44 tries to find the line, could not find the line at this moment. Drew with a defensive position in the middle of the track, forces LH to go around the long way. Carter, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.